some fire alarms. The first time we get on the show, man. My boy James is working on putting out a fire right now. He's burning bacon. And my boy Josh Avery.
What's up, y'all?
The third time he's been on the show. He's a mainstay here. And hey, welcome to the Big Mike Raider by the numbers. We're going to talk a little bit about Derek Carr, and we're going to get into this Week 17 matchup with the 49ers and the Raiders.
All right.
We're going to I think he put out the fire.
Okay. Hopefully.
Money went off soon as the live went off, bro.
I thought it was my house. I'm looking around like, what's burning? Ain't nothing burning up in here. So
man. Yeah, man. So how you doing, bro? How you doing? Everything good?
I'm doing good, man. Just hanging in there. About to go into 2023. I'm just happy to be alive and breathing and kicking and family good and yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Man. Happy New Year's to you, man.
Happy New Year's to you, man, and Happy New Year's to everybody watching. Right now we don't have anybody on, but people will start pulling up soon. We got one.
All right.
Happy New Year to you, and salute. Thanks for showing up.
Happy New Year's to everybody.
Yeah. So we're gonna wait for James to get on before we start talking a little bit. But I want to get your initial reactions. Derek Carr, benched after the Steelers game after throwing 3 interceptions on Christmas Eve and losing 13-10 to your Pittsburgh Steelers, man.
Yes.
Let me get some initial reactions, man. I'm gonna put you on a bigger screen.
Okay.
Let me see if we can make this all right. Yeah,
man.
So, give me your initial reactions, bro.
First of all, I'm excited. That was a great win by the Steelers. I didn't see that coming. I thought the Raiders was going to beat us pretty good because I know what we're lacking. But that was we talked about that in the other episode. This is going to be an emotional game for the Steelers. This one's for Franco Harris, and I'm glad. And it was a Franco Harris type game. It was a low-scoring game, cold weather, and it was smash mouth football. Both teams
called it.
Like we called it. It was some pads clacking out there and some hard-nosed plays. Nothing. It was not a cute, fancy game. It wasn't about speed and all the quickness. It was just straight cold weather, brutal power football, and I'm glad the Steelers won the game. And then shout out to the Raiders for giving us a close game as well. It was a very low-scoring game, so it was about defense and run game. And the team that played better defense and ran the ball better was going to win that game. It had nothing to do with throwing the football, which leads me right to Derek Carr. Man, Mike, James, gentlemen, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. And for this man to be with this team for 9 years, is it 9 years? Almost a decade?
9 years, yep.
Yep. There's 2 elements to it. I'm not going to beat up Derek Carr too much here. But this is unacceptable for you to be on this team for this long and you really have nothing to show for it. See, this is the National Football League, man, and it's about what have you done for me lately? Yep. What has Derek Carr done for the Raiders lately, man? He got you to a playoffs, but has not have a playoff win on his record 9 years on the Raiders. Yeah. The Raiders, gentlemen. So this is not no Detroit Lions. This is a very historic, illustrious franchise. We talk about this all the time, Mike, about the legacy that this franchise holds. You guys got these new facilities, new fan base. You're in Las Vegas. This ain't Oakland. You guys got to start showing. You guys got to win. You guys got to win. And on top of that, I'm not going to beat up Derek Carr too much because from the time he's been with the Raiders, he's had the 32nd worst defense.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You can't do that to the man. So he's walking away from a franchise with injustice on his part too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, quick thing. The Saints, Drew Brees was carrying that team for a few years with no defense. So, and Derek Carr is not a bad quarterback. He can actually go into the Hall of Fame. If he plays another 2-3 years, he's actually close to getting 50,000 yards passing.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get into the numbers. I'm going to do some comparisons. It might shock you guys. It might be like, oh yeah, that sounds about right. But Derek Carr, he's had a good run with the Raiders as far as statistical. But the one that counts is the win-loss column for quarterbacks. Unfortunately, a lot of people see football in a very surface level type type of way where they just look at win-loss records for quarterbacks, and the stat that counts for most people is that win-loss column where Derek Carr is he's coming up short. Before we get more into it, I want to give a proper introduction to my guy James. We do the Unbiased Football Talk podcast together, and he also puts out great fires. James, how you doing, man? Glad to see you out of that firestorm, burning breakfast and whatnot.
Perfect timing. If I was a religious man, I would say God didn't want me to record today, but we fight through it. There's no fire. Just a little smoky, but I'm here. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Good, man. Hey, I'm glad you're on here. It's been a while since we've been on Talk Some Ball.
Yeah.
Give me your take on Derek Carr. How do you feel about the Raiders benching Derek Carr, and what do you think the Raiders? Do you think it's a good move? Do you think it's a bad move? Kind of give me your take on that whole thing.
Well, from the aspect of the guys trying to, what's the purpose of these guys playing? To win, to make the playoffs, right? And they still have a chance to make it. They're still mathematically alive. And you look at the scenario, it's not all that crazy. It's for all the teams that they need to lose. So, granted, their opponent's tough, but you go out there and try to win anyway. So benching him at this point when you're still alive for the playoffs, how is the locker room taking that?
Right.
It could get pretty ugly this week against San Francisco, if the Niners are full bore and, the Raiders just say, man, F this, organization doesn't care. Why should I show up, But no, I don't like it, to be honest. I think the problem is, clearly Josh McDaniels. Carr has always been a very, very accurate quarterback. And the Hayron Middlecoff pod, they talked about Carr's benching or whatever. And this is Carr's lowest completion percentage in his career, I believe. Maybe his rookie year, second year is lower, but McDaniels comes also, and Carr's not. He doesn't have a high completion percentage. That's on the coach, And the Patriots guys, they just suck with people. They can't talk to people. They're very isolated, very insular. It's very my way or the highway. And while that worked in New England, you had the greatest quarterback of all time toting that message also. So you had backup. When you go to other places and try to pass on this message, it doesn't go well because they look at you like you're an idiot. It worked over there because you have Belichick and Brady. Here, we don't have those guys. So you had to be able to adapt or die. And we've seen how many failed New England guys have there been. They just whatever it is about that place, it works in New England, doesn't work anywhere else. And that's a big reason why, today we're seeing Carr bench, because McDaniels is just he's not a good head coach. And I don't agree with it. I think they still should have played him, but really the problem is, it's safe to say at this point, McDaniels is not a head coach, but unfortunately for the Raiders, Mark Davis doesn't have the liquidity to fire him. He doesn't have cash on hand to pay out that contract and get a new head coach. So they're stuck with him. They got to figure something out. I don't know where they pick in the draft. Maybe they look for a quarterback, but the problems are more than just getting a quarterback, because you can win in this league with Derek Carr.
Yeah. And you know what? You can win with Derek Carr, and I think that I wasn't a fan. I've been on record as saying I'm all sideways on the camera. I've been on record saying that I'm not a fan of Josh McDaniels. I wasn't big with the hire. I'm still not. I think that Josh McDaniels is not a leader of men. No. He's proven time and time again that he's not. On the flip side, I see Derek Carr. As far as he goes, I can kind of justify why they benched him, because if you look at business wise, Derek Carr, if he gets injured, he's owed $40 million.
Yeah,
guaranteed money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
I think that Mark Davis sees that as he's looking at it just business wise, and he's looking at it almost mathematically, hey, we got a less than 1% chance to make the playoffs. Even if we win out, we might not make the playoffs. why not just sit him now and not risk getting a guy who we can get some trade capital for? Because, for one, I've already went out and said I'm backing Josh McDaniels as my head coach. Mm-hmm. And two, I gave him a contract kind of to where it says, hey, prove it this year. And he didn't do it. Now, was it fair? I don't think it was. You got Josh McDaniels, who's, his on record. You look at guys like Kyle Orton, who was playing pretty well with the Broncos before Josh McDaniels came in. As soon as Josh McDaniels came in, he fell off and he got benched for Tim Tebow the following year. And, because he got his quarterback that he wanted. So I look at that and I'm like, okay, it's almost similar to what's going on right here. I think he wants a quarterback, his own guy. And I think that it might even be a Brady. It might even be an Aaron Rodgers, just because, business-wise, it's requiring that. It's requiring. It's one, you got to win in Vegas because you have a fan base there. So you got to establish something, or else people aren't going to show up. Raiders fans aren't going to show up. Because, one, your ticket prices are too high, and two, you're establishing something new in Vegas, and if you're not winning there, the people are just not going to show up. Period.
No.
So, it's almost like Mark Davis sees that, and he's like, okay, and to be honest with you, I think that before all this, I think he's had his guy in mind already. I think that he's already kind of been eyeing Tom Brady. It was rumors 2 years ago in 2020 that he was ready to bring Tom Brady on board, and Gronk, and John Gruden said pretty much no to this situation. And I think that Mark Davis doesn't want to make that same mistake twice. And he saw that Brady was going to be a free agent this year, after this year. And I think he was like, okay, we're going to make a full run on this guy. And it might be a risk. It might be a huge risk of him doing this, but it is what it is. Josh, what you think, man?
Well, I think this is everything you said, Mike. I think this is going to be a really dicey offseason. There's a lot of components to this. One, because like we talked about last night, the devil's advocate, who are you going to replace Derek Carr with? And let's technically say right now, Derek Carr's last game as a Raider was last weekend against the Steelers, pretty much. That was his last game as a Raider. And I don't like how me personally, I don't like how he went out that way. I wish he played in this Niners game, because if you still mathematically have a chance to win and get into the playoffs, then you do. Doesn't matter what the percentage is, anything can happen in football. Yeah. And this game against the 49ers, you want the best players on the field. I don't know Stidham. I don't trust Stidham. I don't know nothing about this guy. I know Derek Carr. And I think he gives a better opportunity in this game to win. But since they're sitting him out, they're sitting him out. And for Derek Carr, he needs to be optimistic in his personal life and understand that, hey, I can go elsewhere and be a big factor. I know the Tennessee Titans need a quarterback. I know the New York Jets need a quarterback, and they got some good defenses and run games. Yep. So he'll be on a team where he'll finally have a defense, and he'll have a better chance of making the playoffs. Right now, the Raiders need to rebuild that offensive line, which leads me to Tom Brady. If you're going to bring Tom Brady in, who's going to be 46 years old, that offensive line has to be on point, brother, because he's going to be slamming tablets and cussing out players if he ain't getting protected. Okay. Yeah. And Tom Brady's been doing this for over 20-some years. He's going to be up in Josh McDaniels' face, like, even though they have a history in New England, but that was a different time, man, different season. He's going to be in Josh McDaniels' face like, we need to run this offense this way, that way to make me comfortable. Yeah. And the Raiders are not built that way. The Raiders right now, your identity right now is Josh Jacobs.
It's true.
Until you decide what you're going to do with him, I say keep him too, because your identity is him. You guys are a heavy run football team. That's who you are.
Yeah, that's what you should be.
That's what you should be. And then you got to understand, you got to keep Devontae Adams happy, because now that it's in the air that Carr is going to be gone, he said it out of his own mouth. I came here because of my friend Derek Carr. Mm-hmm. So where's his loyalty going to be? Where's his motivation going to be now that his friend is gone and that he's on a Raiders team that doesn't have this was not a good year for him either. I mean, I know he has some. I know he's like one of the still top 5 receivers in the league, but these stats dropped from what he had in Green Bay. So, and that's what Derek Carr at quarterback. So what is it going to be different with Tom Brady at quarterback? Is he going to be feeding him the rock? When you see a decline in Tom Brady's arm throwing and his playmaking ability, you see a decline because the man's about to be 46. So it's not Tom Brady's a bad player. It's just Father Time is knocking on his door. So there's a lot of things to think about. And then on top of that, this draft class coming in, this NFL draft class, the quarterback class is not impressive at all.
I agree with you. I agree.
It's going to be a very small quarterback market in the draft. So the Raiders
There's a lot of overhyped guys, I would say.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I don't know who. I don't know who you would grab, except maybe
you got CJ Stroud. You got Bryce.
I like that. I like that kid. I like that kid from Utah, Ryzen.
Oh, you know, I think he might be projected in the later rounds, but the guys that are in the first round right now is CJ Stroud, Will Levis, Bryce Young,
and Caleb Williams is doing another year at SC.
Yeah, Caleb Williams is going to be in the 24 draft.
Yeah, man.
Let me pop up Van City Raiders. Shout out to you, man. Thanks for the support. My favorite Canadian is in the building. Hey, this guy's from Vancouver. He's the Canadian Destroyer. He's a big supporter of mine. Salute to you, bro, and Happy New Year as well, man.
Oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada. Happy New Year, brother.
I got a question for you.
What's up?
Where do you think that the Raiders mishandled this situation with Derek Carr? Do you think that they kind of made a mistake, or do you think that it was fair that they did him like this?
As far as benching him?
As far as benching him, just treating him, just considering that he's been on the team for 9 years and the service he's done for the Raiders. Do you think that it was fair, or how do you see it?
Probably the wrong person to ask because, regardless of your opinions of Eli Manning, the dude's arguably Hall of Famer. He got benched for Geno Smith at some point, broke a consecutive start streak. So it's a cutthroat league, if guys get benched all the time because they're not performing. Now we can get into why Carr is not performing, and I touched on that a little bit ago. I think it's McDaniels is the main culprit, but the benching doesn't bother me. But something that the Haven Middlecop pod brought up was that he went home. He didn't stay at the facility. That's really, really weird. He John Middlecoff, he touched on a couple of instances in his career where guys got sent home. One of them was Deshaun Jackson. He wanted a new contract. He wasn't getting it. He was with the Eagles at the time. They were kicking punts to him, and he wasn't fielding them. He just let the ball drop. And at one point, they kicked a punt to him, and he punts the ball back, and they send him home because he refused to practice. Like guys get home for shit like that. So why did he have to go home? Was he sent home for McDaniels? Did Carr say, I don't want to deal with this, I'm going home? Whoever's decision it was to do that, it's pretty low level, and it's sadly for most of our lifetime, it's what the Raiders have been, aside from the 0-2 run and last year's playoff run. When I don't know when else they made the playoffs. Actually, 2001, 2002, I believe.
2002, you guys went. 2002, they went to the Super Bowl to play Tampa Bay, and that was a crappy situation because you just had Gruden, and then he goes to Tampa Bay, so he knows your personnel, and that was an easy win. That was Tony Dungy's team, and he just came in and just
the only thing the offense sucked that year too. The only reason, you could give Gruden credit for knowing the Raiders system, but Gruden wouldn't have a ring if it didn't fall that way. If they didn't play the Raiders, probably.
Exactly.
They had one of the greatest defenses of all time, and he just happened to luck into an offense that he built. The Raiders didn't change the calls, So that's a tangent, but this organization has just not been what they used to be for most of our lifetime, and so it's sadly not that surprising that this is falling down like this, But I don't have a problem with the benching. Like you said, there's financial implications. They can't afford to have him get hurt. So I get it from that aspect. And even though they can make the playoffs, like you said, it's a very, very, very small probability. So the benching is whatever. Him going home is kind of weird, but it's just what we've known the Raiders to be the past 20 years.
But gentlemen, real quick, but Mike, James, real quick. Here's the thing, though. The Raiders had 4 games of this season of 17-point lead. They had a 17-point lead and failed. But the 17-point lead came from the offense, which includes Derek Carr. The 17-point deficit losses came from this defense. The stats show ever since he's been with the Raiders, the defense has been atrocious for him. That's not nothing for the quarterback to work with. That doesn't complement his game. And that's the thing that I have a problem with. We're beating up Derek Carr a little too much. We got to look at all aspects of the game here. When is the Raiders defense going to get better for the man? When was it ever going to get better for the man? Come on, man. He puts up 50 points on the scoreboard and then loses the game because the defense can't stop the run, can't stop the pass. That's what happened last week against the Steelers.
So, hey, I'm gonna pop up these 2 comments, and this is kind of an example of what's going on in Raider Nation. It says, no, everyone is acting like DC was so terribly bad. This place speaks for itself. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. And that's kind of where Raider Nation stands with Derek Carr, is that Derek Carr is constantly put in situations where we want him to win the games and get the games, get it done. And a lot of times he misses the mark. Another comment is we're not going to win anything with Carr, period, ever. Time to pull the plug out the wall. And this is a good example of how a lot of guys in Raider Nation feel. Now, I will say that Derek Carr, he hasn't had a defense over the years. He's had multiple coaches. He has no stability. And a lot of that is on the Raiders organization. Yeah. So you got to put the blame on the Raiders organizations for Carr's, inefficiencies or inconsistencies, right? Those are the 2. Those are you got to blame the organization. But these last few games is where he lost his job, where the defense was actually playing decent. They were only giving up less than 16 points per game. Yeah. And I think in this situation with the Raiders, being that they're in Vegas and they have to win now, it's like you have to have almost a scapegoat. And when you have a guy who's been on your team for 9 years and hasn't really done much of anything as far as playoffs go or winning, like I said, this quarterback is – people look at quarterback and value the position way too much to where they look at wins and losses and not look at everything else around this guy. Everything around this guy hasn't been great. Let's just be honest. And I love the Raiders, but we got to admit that everything around the Raiders hasn't been great. And Derek Carr has been the only one that's kind of been, I wouldn't say great, but he's been good. He's been good, and I think he's been good enough to win, but it's been one thing or the other. No defense, no offensive. Please, over the years, offensive players, blah. There's so many things that we could say that Derek Carr wasn't afforded like most of these other guys. And I'll get into the stats a little bit later to kind of support that. But, on the other hand, you got with the Raiders, the last few games, Derek Carr has thrown 9 interceptions in 5 games. So, when you got something like that and you're in a situation where it's almost a win now situation, it's justified to kind of sit him down. So that's kind of where I'm at. I see both sides. I'm honestly conflicted about this whole thing because I've been watching Derek Carr for 9 years. I even put a ticket in for MVP this year because I thought that he could get it done. Like with the pieces he has around him and the way the offseason was looking, it was like, hey, the Raiders might finally turn it around. Derek Carr, he might finally, have that big season that kind of breaks out, and it just didn't happen. I'm going to get to some more of these comments, guys, before we jump into some more. I say you were structured for 1 year for last season, hopefully walk-off Super Bowl. You know what? I think if Derek Carr does stay, he has to take a pay cut. He's owed $35 million next year if he does stay. It's not 100% that he's getting shipped out, but if he does stay for whatever reason, by some kind of crazy turn of events, he needs to be restructured. That's one thing that I would say. Van City, once again, he says they aren't astronomical, insurmountable leads. they were leads that were coughed up in the second half by not scoring any points and Carr playing like trash. The defense this year has done more than enough to help us have a better record than we have. And I would say he's kind of halfway true on that one. So, you as an offense, you kind of have to keep your foot on the gas, keep your foot on the pedal. And it was a mixture of both the defense and offense. But when you're going out there and you're doing multiple 3-and-outs, you're tiring that defense out.
Yeah.
The defense gets more exposed. It's already hard enough to stop an offense in the NFL with all the rules and the things put in place. It's hard to stop an offense when you're constantly giving them almost like a bunch of extra looks that they can, kind of pick apart. And then, when you're doing that, the offense kind of figures you out on defense and then scores become easier. So it's complementary ball. The offense is not doing their job in sustaining drives, so they have to punt. And then the other offense, the defense is coming out and they're getting exposed. So I would say it's partially true with that one. Derek Carr isn't 100% the problem, but 100% isn't the solution. Yeah.
I like that one.
That's kind of where we're at. And unfortunately, you're going to look at the quarterback as far as, whether you're winning or not, you're going to point that finger directly at the quarterback. That's just the league. That's just the position.
Yeah, that comes with it.
Yeah. So,
did they play the Dolphins this year?
They didn't play the Dolphins this year.
They played them in preseason.
They did.
The one issue I have with people like saying Derek Carr deserves most of the blame is the Raiders have the two worst losses this year in the league. Against Baker Mayfield on 2 days of learning the playbook on the shitter, and then against Jeff Saturday, who is absolutely terrible. And I put those losses on the head coach more than the squad, And if they win those games, they're 8-7, tied with Miami for the 7th seed. That's why I said they played Miami. So how different is this conversation if they don't lose to two of the worst teams in the league and they are right there in the playoff mix? What are we talking about today?
Derek Carr still playing.
He's still playing
right? And be starting.
And no one's saying to get rid of him, right? They're right there in the playoffs. So it's just amazing how thin the margins are in this league. And it's why I think majority of the problem is McDaniels, because I put those losses on him. Like whatever the team didn't do, whatever the team didn't execute, he didn't prepare them well enough in that scenario to win those games. So yes, no one is without blame. Like Carr deserves his blame, the defense deserves their blame, but I put most of it on McDaniels.
I do too, because at the same time, McDaniel, like for example, that Rams game in the second half, Devontae Adams only got the ball 3 times his game was only 3 receptions, 71 yards. That is an atrocity.
You can't let Baker Mayfield go 95 yards with no timeouts.
Right. And play press man coverage.
I'm sorry,
Mike.
That? I don't mean to it's just it's
true.
Inexcusable.
It is.
What are the coaches telling the defense in that scenario? Like, I really want to know what they were telling them, because it wasn't what they were supposed to be telling them.
Yeah.
And Josh Jacobs was leading the league in rushing coming into that game. The run game was on the first drive. They pounded the rock down the Rams' throat and got away from that. Why? Why would you do that? That's McDaniel's problem. He steps away from what works, and it costs the Raiders. If I'm the Raiders and you got a suspect defense and a suspect offensive line when it comes to pass blocking, I would be running the ball 40 times down any team's throat, just to condense the game, get up out of there with a quick, fast win. And I just don't understand why. The funny thing is, it's not that these teams are better than the Raiders. It's just the Raiders shooting themselves in the foot. A lot of these losses are self-inflicted wounds. Imagine if the Raiders didn't do that to themselves. The Raiders probably I had the Raiders winning the division this year, winning the AFC West.
I did too. And if they would have won those close games, they would be 12-3, 12-4 right now. All those games, winnable games. They're in every game they play. They lose it on the final drive a lot of these times. So you're absolutely right. I'm gonna get into some more of these comments, guys, if you guys don't mind. Shout out to Iron Soul 69. It was going on, man. Salute. He says, man, stop it. We went in this year knowing defense needs work, but they've been holding things down. Now, offense was expected to put up at least 20. Carr has his chance, and D was balling this year. And that's the thing, too, is that the offense, it was a lot of money invested in this offense. Mm-hmm. So, and not really much money invested in the defense besides Max Crosby. So the expectation for the offense was a lot higher, too, and it didn't deliver. And, you know, that's we're kind of going in circles now. Do you blame Derek Carr or do you blame Josh McDaniels? You know, but business wise, unfortunately, you gotta get if you're gonna get rid of somebody, it's easier to get rid of Derek Carr, and I think that's kind of where we're at right now. Let me jump into another one. Can they beat the 49ers though? I guess we can kind of segue into that. We got a Raiders 49ers preview right here. What do you guys have for this game? The Raiders have been playing decent defense this year, these last few games, and no Derek Carr, but they still have the running game that's been pretty good this season. What do you have for this game? The Raiders are like an 11-point underdog. What do you see? What do you see with this game?
Go ahead, James.
Well, I see. I touched on it a bit when we started the episode, but I don't think this locker room is going to handle benching Carr that well, because you're essentially telling the guys who are giving up on the season we're concerned about next year. You know, so for a lot of those guys, they're like, well, I'm probably not going to be here next year. Now, granted, they're competitors, they're professional athletes, they have ego, not in a bad way. Just, you know, they want to go out and perform. I'm sure they're going to try, but the Niners are just a tier above them. And so from the Niners aspect, I wonder – I don't think anyone should be playing through an injury at this point, because it's very unlikely they get the 1 seed in the NFC. The best they can do is the 2 seed, but, like, I mean, even then it's not – you're still playing in the first round of the playoffs. So 2 seed, 3 seed, you still host a game. You might have to travel, you know, next week if you win. So they're still going to come out and play, and, you know, I expect them to win because – they are, you know, a better team than the Raiders, even though it's in Vegas. They benched Carr for Stidham, and I just don't see that going well against this pass rush. Yes. No. So I expect the Niners to win. What I don't expect is you might see a lot of Jordan Mason, Tyrion Davis-Price in this game in the second half. I don't think we'll see a full McCaffrey show. However, I've been betting on the Purdy blow-up for 2 weeks now. Who knows? Maybe this is the game. You know, Crosby gets in his face. He throws a couple of picks. We've seen crazier things happen this year, especially Raiders fans. So would a win from the Raiders shock me? A little bit, but not necessarily unprecedented, because I'm not a big believer in Brock Purdy. You know, a couple of games doesn't make you a starter in this league. You know, he has no type of body of work. The locker room loves him. That's great. He's been playing well, credit to him, but I still have my doubts. So who's to say he can't come this week against, you know, on the road against Vegas? I don't expect it to. I expect the Niners to roll, but there is a small possibility where, you know, the Raiders pull out an upset here because Purdy just shits the bed.
My big bro wasted talent. Raiders win 24-18. What do you guys think about that one?
I don't know. I don't know,
Thanks
man.
For popping in, man. Happy New Year to you and your family as well, man.
If they win, it's going to be like 16-9. You know, some stupid score like that.
I can see that.
But if it's 16-9, that means the defense is balling, because the 49ers offense is explosive, man. Even though they don't have Deebo Samuels and Elijah Mitchell, you still got Christian McCaffrey. You still got Brandon Ayuk. You still got George Kittle, who's just flat out balling right now. The 49ers offense is built for where Brock Purdy doesn't have to win you the game. It's built for where he puts the ball in his playmaker's hands, and then his run after the catch, playmaking ability, and then they have a hell of a run game. And the 49ers have a hell of a run game with Trent Williams on that offensive line, and the Raiders have a problem stopping the run game. You gave up you guys did a good job containing the Steelers' run game, but the Patriots, if it wasn't for that boneheaded play that they made, but that dude Stevens ran for 173 yards rushing. So if I'm the 49ers, this is kind of like a game you don't need. So I will have my starters playing in the first half, and if they have a 2-possession, 3-possession lead, I'm putting my second string in, because the 49ers don't need to leave Las Vegas banged up, bruised up, because it's going to be a physical game. Yeah. It's going to be prideful. The Raiders are going to have some pride in this game. It's going to be a physical game, and the Raiders ain't got nothing to lose. So why not taint a team that we don't like and taint their future and their possibilities in the playoffs by beating them up, bruising them up, and have them come into the playoffs with injuries, nicked up. You got to think Kyle Shanahan really needs to be smart in this game. And the 49ers still need to play 49er football, but still kind of come into this game with some serious wisdom here, because it's like they're playing against a scorned woman. And all right, that scorned woman's going to make sure she gets her payback. Yes. And what better way to get payback you're coming in pissed off because you didn't get what you want. Right. So I'm gonna shut down the 49ers and what they want. That'll at least make our season a little more. Yeah. So, but James, and Mike, anything could happen. They can win this game if the 49ers come in not taking the Raiders seriously. You take every team seriously, and if the Raiders say, "Hey, we're gonna run this ball down your throat with Josh Jacobs," and for some reason Stidham gets a fire on his behind and just light him up with Adams and Waller and Renfro, who are now back healthy, this could be an interesting ball game. I'm not knocking anything could happen.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me though. You see it a lot of times with these first starter quarterbacks that they look good the first game.
Yeah.
You see it a lot. Brock Purdy, Mike White. You can name a lot of these first game quarterbacks. They come out smoking hot, and this defense really doesn't know what to do with them the first time. Now, the second and third game, it's a different story. And I think that Brock Purdy, he's been having a good run, but I think that this is the game where he's probably going to have his worst game of his career, just because his Mr. Irrelevant is going to show. I don't think that he's that guy, that star that everybody's talking about, like blowing him up to be. And I think that he is going to struggle in this game, and I really do have a low-scoring game. I would like the Raiders to win this game, but I'm not going to say that. But I do like a low-scoring game. I would say. Well,
Chandler Jones and Max Crosby need to have a big game. They need to have a big game.
Chandler Jones is out for the season, man.
Who?
Chandler Jones is out for the season.
Damn.
Yeah, but you get the Niners in obvious passing situations. Put Crosby on McGlinchey, it's going to be a bad day. But McGlinchey can't pass block for shit.
The Raiders, gentlemen, the 49ers have like one of the worst pass blocking offensive lines in the league right now, like bottom 3.
In the straight drop back and pass game, that's not their strong suit. So if you get a lead on them, it's I was saying this with Garoppolo. That's why I didn't think they could beat the Eagles or Chiefs or Bills or any one of those teams, because if they're trailing in the fourth quarter, I just don't trust this O-line to hold up against any type of pass rush. Yeah. But, you see the Niners get into these weird spots. Like they lost against Chicago week 1. Granted, they were starting Trey Lance. They lost against Atlanta earlier in the season. And then last week, they were up 21-14 on Washington going into the fourth quarter. Granted, Washington's a solid squad, but like the teams that you think they would just blow the doors off of, it's like 13-7 in the third quarter. And it's a real game, So I wouldn't put it past this game to be close heading into the fourth. Maybe the Niners pull away. Maybe the Raiders pull an upset. I expect the Niners to win, but I'm not putting anything past the squad because they play a lot of weird games.
Yeah, it's gonna be Max Crosby versus Trent Williams, because Max Crosby is a defensive end. He's gonna come from that outside, and Trent Williams is on the outside of the line. So it's gonna be a Trent Williams.
They should just switch him to the other side.
Yeah, I would do that too. I will make the necessary adjustments.
Trent Williams is that guy. He can pretty much be put on any position on the field and he'll get it done.
And get it done, yeah. So if I'm the 49ers, I'm like, look, fellas, let's get this win. Let's put them away early, and let's get the hell out of Las Vegas, because the Raiders, this fan base, and the faithful in that stadium, oh my Lord, the Battle of the Bay has returned. So anything can happen.
I think the battle, the fight, the hard fight is going to be in the stands. I don't think it's going to be necessarily on the field.
That's why I wanted to go to the game. I was like, hell no, it's going to be a war zone, man. It's going to be a war zone.
Hey, anybody going to that game, be careful, man. Be careful. It's New Year's Eve. New Year's Day, there's going to be a lot of drunk people.
Yes.
There'll be a lot of drunk 49ers fans, a lot of drunk Raiders fans. Stay out of trouble, guys. Stay out of Las Vegas.
Be safe, you guys. It's just a football game, fellas, and I understand two proud franchises, two great franchises with great history. I understand it, but you guys, get home safely to your wives and your kids and your family, and whoever wins and loses, it's just football, y'all. Just enjoy going into the 2023 year and being alive and well, and
Exactly. Yep, and if some crazy lady tries to yell at you in the stands, just ignore her, share it on social media. Then maybe you're watching the game next week in Mark Davis's suite next to his bowl cut. You can ask him what he's doing with Derek Carr this offseason.
Hey, and it's gonna be dope, man, because I heard the halftime show is gonna be Too Short and Ice Cube, so that's gonna be pretty. That's gonna be raw, man.
Raiders gonna be extra hyped up for that one. So
heck yeah, It's Too Short from the Bay Area, so it's kind of like, oh man.
I mean, there's a scenario where the fans need a distraction after the first half. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah,
absolutely. If the game gets out of hand too,
Well, let's leave after this concert, babe. Let me just watch Ice Cube, then we'll head out of here.
Let's just beat the traffic, man.
Seriously. Just go home. If it's a 3-score game, enjoy the Ice Cube concert, enjoy Too Short, and get the hell out of there, man.
Vegas is a big town too.
It's
plenty of shit to do in Vegas.
Right. Plenty. I live out here, man, and it's just booming. It's like they keep building out here, and the stadium's in an awkward position. It's right across the freeway from the Strip, so it's really awkward where it's at. It's right by the Hustlers Casino. Oh Lord, that's where they tailgating at.
All that,
So you drinking beer, Raiders and strippers. Oh man, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be a bonanza.
I saw a meme once because I've driven to Vegas with the new stadium. I seen the giant screen that they have right there. I presume they show the game on that, and someone said, imagine before you crash into a semi, your last image is Derek Carr throwing an interception.
Oh my
God. And you know what the funny thing is, Raider fans are actually really cool. They're really cool people, man. They're very humble. Here's the thing, because the Raiders have been through hell for 20 years now, and it's time for the fan base to be happy about something. That's why some serious adjustments need to be made with this franchise going into next season. It's time for the Raiders to really win. Seriously, all jokes aside, this is a team that needs to be in the top 5 seeds year in and year out in the AFC. There's too much talent on this team. The fan base deserves that. It's a great fan base, a faithful fan base. The stadium is priceless. The practice facility is priceless. I've been to the practice facility when they were building it. It's just phenomenal. And you need that brand of football to make the Raiders be feared and renowned. Like, hey, the Raiders are back, and this is a team to be reckoned with. And that can happen. That can happen. It was supposed to happen this year, but it definitely needs to happen next year. Seriously. So I just hope and pray the Raiders make the necessary adjustments, because when the Raiders are playing good, it makes the NFL so much better, So
Raiders are one of those franchises where football is just better when they're good. And me as a Raider fan, I definitely agree on that one. I'm gonna get let me get to a couple more comments.
Absolutely.
That's my mom. Hey, mom.
Hey, Mom, I love your son, man. That's my brother.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Mom. Van City says, so this past October, I went to my first ever live NFL Raider game of all time.
Yeah.
I've been a fan for 20 years. The buddy I went down there with picked me up at 11 a.m. on Saturday, and then kind of cut off. But, dude. And I believe you went to the Seahawks and Raiders game, and that's when Josh Jacobs won that overtime.
He was phenomenal. Man, he was phenomenal in that game. Yeah. Man, he was awesome.
Hell of a game to go to. I I do want to do a little bit of kind of, I don't know, this might kind of blow you guys' mind. It kind of did for me as well. And this kind of goes on to the same the same idea of the quarterback position kind of being overvalued, and the win-loss record going straight to the quarterback is kind of, I don't like it. I'm going to throw some stats at you guys, and I want you to kind of give me your I'm going to have you guys guess who this is first, and then you guys give me your opinion and kind of what you think about it, right? So before I do that, I'm gonna read Derek Carr's stats off, right? His career stats. He's played 142 games. He's 63-79. I don't really care about the win-loss record. He has a completion percentage career of 64.6, and he's thrown for 35,222 yards, 7.1 yards per attempt, 217 touchdowns, and 99 interceptions. So it's not bad numbers. It's not bad numbers, and just keep that as a measuring stick, right? For the rest of the things I'm going to say, that just keep those numbers in mind, because I'm going to read some other numbers to you, and then I'm gonna have you guess who this person is. Okay, so let's go with guy A, quarterback A, right? 165 games, 32,942 yards, 7 yards per attempt, 165 touchdowns, and 141 interceptions. Who do you think that is?
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan. Who would you guess?
I'm gonna say Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott? No, but it's another Cowboy. Hall of Famer, Troy Aikman.
Troy Aikman. Oh, I was close.
Okay.
So,
damn.
In context, Derek Carr has a better yards per attempt. He has a better touchdown interception ratio as well. But the record, 94-71.
Yeah,
that's his win-loss record. But you can argue, you can't deny this. The Cowboys had a complete team. They had a defense. They had pieces around them to win. Right? Am I right? So Derek Carr has better numbers than Troy Aikman. You could say that. We can. There's no argument here, right? Am I right?
But okay. Troy got those titles, man.
You got the titles, but it's a team thing, right? It's a team thing. When you put it directly on the quarterback, sometimes it's not fair. It's not fair. So that's all I'm saying. So I'm gonna go with another guy, right? To kind of crystallize this whole point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
All right, 160 games, 60.1 completion percentage, 35,467 yards, 7.4 yards per attempt, 237 touchdowns, and 175 interceptions. Who would you guess that one is?
Ooh.
What? Can I get a hint?
Yeah, he was a quarterback in the 90s.
Okay.
Steve Young.
Nope.
I'm going to throw out
quarterback in the 90s.
Man, I don't know.
Brett Favre.
Four-time.
Not Brett Favre.
It can't be Brett Favre. No, what am I saying?
It's four-time AFC champion Jim Kelly.
I was going to say Jim Kelly.
I'm calling all these NFC quarterbacks.
This is the guy. This is the guy who went to 4 straight Super Bowls. Yeah, he lost all 4 straight Super Bowls, right? But Derek Carr has a better touchdown to interception ratio. He has a better completion percentage. He's thrown just as many yards. Mm-hmm. Jim Kelly has the yards per attempt over him by like 0.3. But the point is, Jim Kelly had pieces around him to win. He had a defense, he had offensive weapons, and stability.
Yeah.
Stability at the coaching, front office, all that. It was stability there.
And you see, gentlemen, that's the thing right there. Derek, we're not taking nothing from Derek Carr. The brother can play.
Yeah.
If I had a franchise right now that needs a quarterback, you're done with the Raiders. You're coming with us right now. I need you, because Derek Carr can make it happen with his legs and his arm.
Yep.
You know, but I think the part where they're looking at that makes people grind their teeth about Derek Carr is you have no playoff wins in your record, and you have no Super Bowls,
and
he's been with.
You cannot blame Derek Carr for that.
And you cannot, but
and Raider fans, we have to look in the mirror. We have to look in the mirror. We have to look at our organization. You guys have not done the proper due diligence to win games, to be a winning franchise. There hasn't been stability. Derek Carr went through 2 rebuilds.
Yes, Derek Carr has 6 through his entire career in the Raiders. He went through 6 head coaches.
Yeah,
that's a lot, man, that you have to adapt yourself, change your ways of playing to adapt to each head coach. That's a lot to ask for. And yet the defense has made no progression pretty much from his whole decade, pretty much career with the Raiders. That's not fair to him.
Yep. And all right, here's another one, guys. Here's another one that kind of solidifies to an extent. It's not the same way. 234 games, so longer, a bigger sample size, right? 56.9 completion percentage, 51,475 yards, 7.1 yards per attempt, same as Derek Carr, 300 touchdowns, 226 interceptions.
Give me a hint. Like James said, give me a hint.
AFC West quarterback.
He's who?
AFC West quarterback.
Phillip Rivers?
Nope.
Trent Green?
No.
That's a good guess.
John Elway.
John Elway.
I should have guessed. 230 games is shit, and I should have guessed that.
Yeah. But the man won 2 Super Bowls, 3 Super Bowls?
2 Super Bowls his last 2 seasons of his career. And what I look at is the longevity, right? 51,000 yards. Derek Carr in 3 years, if he does another 4,000 a pop, right? You know, you add a 12,000 to his 35,000. He's at 47,000 plus, right? That's kind of where he's tracking. If he stays as a starter somewhere, he's good for 4,000 a pop, basically. So if he stays on that trajectory, he's only like 3,000 yards off of that John Elway, path, and that's 3 years. These quarterbacks play longer. I think Derek Carr has at least 5 years in him, wherever he plays, right? I think he can be that guy for 5 years, and he will surpass these John Elway numbers with a better touchdown to interception ratio. 300 touchdowns to 226 interceptions. Derek Carr, before this year, was never an interception thrower.
Yeah.
So, difference is John Elway had pieces around him. I'm gonna keep it here.
He had Shannon Sharp. He had Terrell Davis. He had an offensive line. Yeah, and he had a defense. And he had Mike Shanahan.
Yeah. So that's the point that I'm trying to get at, guys. Derek Carr, I think it is time to move on, I would say. But it's not because of poor play from him. I think that it's just, if you're going to constantly keep, trying to shape shift a guy, it comes to a point where it's just not going to work anymore. Yeah. And I think that Derek Carr, and it's at this point where Derek Carr, I don't even know what kind of style of quarterback he is strength-wise. Only thing that I can kind of go back on is that 2016 year where he played his best ball, where he was you look at that kind of offense, what they were running, and then you go before that, he was kind of, dropping back and throwing it quick at Fresno State. He was throwing a lot of screens. He was going vertical at times, but he was doing a hurry up type of offense, a fast paced, high tempo type of offense. Yeah. So I think that maybe Derek Carr needs that kind of scenario for him to be successful. He needs to go somewhere where it's a kind of an up tempo kind of deal where he can just kind of not think so much and just get that ball downfield. And I think that the Raiders, I think it's time for us to move on with him. But I'm not going to say because Derek Carr can't ball or can't play, and I'm not going to do that. And a lot of these Raider Nation guys really need to stop doing that because to me, Derek Carr can play. But if you talk to a lot of these guys in Raider Nation, they'll be like, "Oh, Derek Carr's a bum. Get this sorry ass MF out of here." This and that, and they'll say, you know, they'll put a blanket on his whole career that, oh yeah, he's always been trash. This and that. I don't know what, you know, and I don't think that's the case. I really don't think that's the case. I'm going to defend him on this because, you know, we got to look at this period of time, these 9 years, and be like, thank you. You know, despite the instabilities in the franchise and you know, the multiple coaches, he came out here and he wanted to be a Raider.
Yeah, and still does. He doesn't want to leave this franchise.
Yeah, he even went out and said whether it's authentic or not, I don't care. He said that he would retire if he can't be a Raider anymore, and I like to hear that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah. So
despite if he meant that or not, dude, like we gotta look at this 9 year period and be like, thanks for your efforts. You know, it didn't work out. We're gonna move on from you, but you know, thank you. And that's kind of my point right here, because I'm looking at all the stats right here, and if we had some kind of stability, Derek Carr could easily take us to at least, you know, some playoff runs or at least go to a Super Bowl. Now, yeah, you could say that the quarterback position is played a lot differently. Defenses are softer. The numbers are kind of more inflated now.
Mm-hmm.
But these are still Hall of Fame guys that I just compare numbers with Derek Carr. Now, I'm not saying he's a Hall of Fame type of quarterback. You need Super Bowls for that, right?
Yeah.
But the stats say that he can do it with the right pieces, with stability. So that's all I got to say about that, man. What you guys think?
Go ahead, James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely think you can win this league with Derek Carr. Like I agree with your overall point. The only thing is that it's a different era, so I take any numbers these guys put up today with a little bit of grain of salt, because it's more skewed towards passing. You know, 30 years ago, teams were run, pass. That was like the playbook for everybody. So, but you know, I agree with your point. Like, you can win this league with Derek Carr. Maybe not an outdoor team. Like, maybe he's not the best fit for the Jets. But I could see him with the Saints. I could see him with the Colts. Colts make a lot of sense. You know, get him in a dome. He's been in the Raiders didn't have a dome in Oakland, but they have a dome here. Like, I don't think he's necessarily an outdoor quarterback, but I could definitely see a team like the Colts trying to pursue him this offseason if he becomes available and if he chooses to move on from Vegas.
Yeah, that's a good point. The Colts, but Jeff Saturday can't be his coach.
No,
you know, no. That's gonna be a horrible experience.
He's in another bad situation. You're right.
They've been saying Jim Harbaugh to Indy.
That's what I'm hearing.
But I actually want to see him with the Jets because they're ready. They got a defense. They got a running game with Breece Hall. I know he went out with an ACL tear, but I just see him with the Jets. And, you know, the AFC East is very competitive, but the Jets are right there. And, you know, for Derek Carr, he never had a complete team. It takes there's components to this thing to get a Super Bowl title. You want a Super Bowl title, you got to have a defense. It starts with your defensive line. You got to have a run game because that travels. And you got to have and then you got to have legit receivers and the specialty. The whole team has to be complete for a team to win a Super Bowl. And he just didn't have that with the Raiders in his 9-year tenure. And that's okay. He did what he had to do with the Raiders. He did ball his ass off. He did. The numbers are not bad. He can play football. But now that he's going to have to understand, okay, I need to go to something better for me too. I need to go to a team with a defense finally. I need to go to a team with a solid offensive line that's going to protect me, and we can run the football, and I can throw it to legit receivers. And I see the Jets being that team. I see the Saints. I like the Saints more than the Colts because I trust Dennis Allen more than I do. I just trust Dennis Allen. Well, they need to move on from Dennis Allen, honestly. I'm going to take that back.
I was going to say, you can't trust Allen, man.
They need to get rid of Dennis Allen. But who would you rather take? Chris Olave? You got – I don't know if Michael Thomas is going to still be with them, right?
I don't know.
I trust Alvin Kamara, man. I trust number 7. What's his name? I just the dude that can play every position.
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. And then the Saints have a legit defense, man. They have a solid defense. So, and then it's the AFC. and it's the NFC South.
They'd be NFC South champions this year if Allen wasn't terrible.
Right. That's what I'm saying, James. And then if he was, and then it's an easier division. Brady about to be gone, so I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to really plummet. Mm-hmm. And I think it's for the taking. The only team I see in their way would be the Carolina Panthers because they're starting to rise up. Yeah. But it's an easier division.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's New Orleans. You're in the dome.
The Jets are probably the best team he can go to, but like I said, I don't trust him in the elements. And he had to play in Buffalo and in New England, and it could get crazy in New York as well. So, from the Jets standpoint, I don't know. I couldn't do it. Like, he's good enough to win with, but not in bad weather. I just I don't trust him.
You saw what he did in Pittsburgh, man. That's all.
You saw him shivering in Pittsburgh. He was shivering. Like I saw, he was like, "Damn, this is cold."
Yeah, he looked miserable in Pittsburgh.
The whole team did. That was a shocker because out here in Vegas, it's nothing, man. It's 50 degrees outside. That ain't nothing. It was 11 degrees in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
11.
Negative wind chill too.
Negative wind chill. I mean. Come on, and they got the man throwing the football in that kind of weather. Yeah. So come on, man.
Yeah. Let me get to these a couple more of these comments, and I'm gonna wrap it up, guys.
All right.
We're definitely on way over than what I anticipated, but that's how it goes usually. Van City says that time has passed us by. If we're having this conversation a few years ago, I would say I agree with you, but not anymore. Yeah, that's the whole Derek Carr conundrum. We're a lot of. I don't know if you guys know, but the Raider Nation is divided with this whole thing. I'm more of on the fence. I look at stats. I look at things that make sense. A lot of people really look at are really emotional with Derek Carr. They expect a lot with the quarterback position, and I blame that on Patrick Mahomes, man. I blame that on Justin Herbert because he's in our division. So when you look at guys like Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, you see them twice a year, and then it's natural to go kind of look at what you got and be like, oh, that's not so great, And you're comparing. It's not a fair comparison. It really isn't. But that's what we're living at with Derek Carr. You look at, as a Raider fan, man, we got the Chiefs twice, and Patrick Mahomes is over here, slinging the ball, throwing, against the grain and lobbing it to tight end who's wide open for whatever reason every time, and then you got Justin Herbert standing in the pocket and taking shots and throwing darts down the field. It's easy to look at the quarterback who's a B+ type of guy, at best. He's a B+ quarterback and be like, we just don't have enough.
Yeah,
and it might be a little bit unfair, but that is what it is. That's what we have in this situation, and it's. I would say, to a lot of these Raider fans is like kind of be careful what you wish for, because it's not, Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert don't grow on trees. So if you're expecting to get something like that in the draft, you're going to be mistaken. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most guys are closer to Carr than they are to Mahomes.
Yeah. Well, honestly, fellas, this is my personal opinion. This is what I would do. I would sit down if I'm the Raiders, I'm sitting down with Derek Carr, and we need to negotiate his contract and reduce the money so they can put it in other areas of the team. Because right now, I just don't see another quarterback coming on the Raiders right now and turning things around overnight. I still will roll with Derek Carr. It's kind of like do what the 49ers did with Jimmy G. He got hurt, but he stuck around. And when Trey Lance went down, they didn't have to go outside of themselves to find emergency quarterback to bail him out. Jimmy G was right there the whole entire time. And
they looked into that because they would have traded him.
They did. They would have been. Yeah, they wouldn't be where they at right now unless who knows? Unless Brock Purdy would have saved them then. But but at the same time though, I just don't. I think he needs to stay with them at least one more season, and adjust the money, man, adjust that cap, and put that money into your defense. And who knows what happens? If you got if the Raiders have a solid defense, your running game is strong, beef up that offensive line and get them better in pass protection. You already got Devontae Adams locked and set. Yeah. And you got Renfro and Waller. You can let go of that. Open up your cap. You let go of Waller and get a more solid tight end, which you do in that dude Moreau. So there's not really much adjustments required for the Raiders to be that team that they need to be. I just say adjust Derek Carr's contract, adjust it, and make it where it's team friendly and fulfill them areas. I say more so on the defensive side of the football. Yeah. Because the Raiders need a defense, man. You got to have a defense because you're going against Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and then who knows if Russell Wilson wakes up next season. And, you know, this is still a competitive AFC West division, and got to have a defense, man.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Guys, I'm about to wrap it up.
All right.
Give me you guys' score prediction for this game.
49ers. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, James.
31-13 Niners.
31-13 Niners. Okay.
I'm gonna roll with James on that. That's a good one. 31-13 Niners. That's right.
All right.
Yeah, like that makes sense.
I'm gonna leave it at this one, guys. I think it's gonna be a low scoring game. And I've seen the Raiders play competitive with every team that they've played, and it's not been because of Derek Carr. It's been because they have a complete team, running game, the defense. You know, they make the right plays at the right time. They give up a lot of yards at times, but they make the right play at the right time, except for that Steelers game. But I'm going to say it's going to be a low-scoring game, and I like a 17-13 Raiders game.
All right.
Raiders going to pull off the upset and make Josh McDaniels look good, even though he may or may not be good. So that's all I got. I'm gonna read this last one. This last comment from Van City, and then we're gonna head out. Is says he's gone. He won't restructure, and Ziegler isn't gonna pay him $32 million. I absolutely agree. If Derek Carr does want to stay, he's gonna have to absolutely take a haircut. So
yeah.
I'm gonna leave it at that. But hey, guys, I appreciate you guys. James, thanks again for showing up, man. We gotta do more of this. We definitely gotta record again. I'm biased. We gotta get Ian on board. We gotta all get together and at least for the playoffs get something going. Josh, as always, man, thank you again.
Thank you, brother.
Bro. Yeah, you're a mainstay here on the show. We're gonna do this. We're gonna be doing this a lot more. So man. With that, guys, that's it for By the Numbers. This is Big Mike signing out.
Hey James. Hey James, give me some of that bacon, man.
Be safe. We're drinking and driving all that stuff. You know, I gotta say it, man. I gotta say it. So
you gotta make a new batch. The old batch is done.
Yeah, as you can hear. Hey, me and Mike, we country boys. We like it Cajun style.
Okay.
You know, I got that's my upbringing. But I'm from California. But you say that I got some kind of accent. I don't hear it, but
I hear that Texas in you, bro.
No, man. I don't know. Hey, but with that, guys, signing out. Peace. Happy New Year.
Peace, man. Happy New Year, fellas. Much love.
Hell yeah.